to install a hidden camera on the Lassiter's property in an effort to blackmail him. These photos show that man allegedly installing a camera.
She had sex with him, including in groups with others seeking his political favor.
Well, Madison Cawthorn's most recent Instagram post said something to the effect of, I wonder why I'm trending on Twitter. Very interesting. Cawthorn seems to have deleted said Instagram post after I saw it. Well, why is he trending on Twitter? Well, turns out his comments on a podcast last year in which he mentioned that members of Congress had invited him to group sex or orgies, those comments may be true after all, based on a new lawsuit filed in North Carolina in which the North Carolina House Speaker is accused of engaging in group sex for political favors. Let's look back at Madison Cawthorn's original comments on the podcast last year that many believe may have led to his ousting from Congress. He's no longer a congressman, despite being very popular amongst Republicans when he was in office. All right, here's the podcast that started it all.
No, Cawthorn is in trouble for these comments he recently made on a right-wing podcast.
Look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to, like, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Yeah. Or the fact that, there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove, addiction in our country. And then you watch them do, a key bump of cocaine right in front of you.
Okay, if anyone knows who the podcaster was, let me know. I don't know who hosted Madison Cawthorn, but I thought it was hilarious. He's talking about orgy and the podcaster's like, absolutely, we all know about orgies. Orgies in Congress? I didn't know about that. And a lot of people were shocked about that. And actually, it led Kevin McCarthy to call Congressman Madison Cawthorn into his office to have a stern talk with the young congressman. Kevin McCarthy was quoted back then as saying, quote, I just told them he's lost my trust. He's going to have to earn it back. And I laid out everything I find is unbecoming, McCarthy said, as reported by Daily Mail. Quote, and you can't just say you can't do this again. I mean, he's got a lot of members very upset. So that's what McCarthy said last year, that Cawthorn had a ton of members of Congress upset after Cawthorn apparently outed lawmakers as organizers of orgies. Not only that, but taking cocaine while trying to eradicate drugs from America. So, people brushed it off as a lie. Well, now looking at the new lawsuit against the North Carolina House Speaker has people saying there might be something to this. And we're going to look at the local news coverage. Again, this is local. This is North Carolina politics. This is not Kevin McCarthy who's been busted. But how many lawmakers are really up to this? This lawsuit's very interesting. Before we play it really quick, before we play the coverage of the latest in the group sex allegations, shout out to the sponsor of my coverage. The signs of future financial trouble for American investors and savers are piling on in 2023. Bloomberg is warning of a severe economic reset, and gold appears as a caged bull awaiting a catalyst. In May, JP Morgan's senior team said, cut stocks, buy gold, and hold your cash. CEO of a major real estate investing firm declared it's really the perfect storm. Empty office buildings across the U.S. could lead to financial meltdown. Everyone's working from home, guys. Well, Wells Fargo said gold is in a super cycle that could last another 6 years, and worst case scenario is $3,000 gold. The time for gold is here. Demand is soaring. Let National Gold Group show you options for investing in precious metals like gold and silver in your retirement accounts. And for direct delivery, mention my channel, Ivory Hecker, and you'll always get best-in-class service from real American service providers. The National Gold Group IRA fee waiver program allows you to invest your IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the lifetime fee waiver on qualifying rollovers. Call them at 888-617-5927. Get a free investor guide with the link in my description. National Gold Group is a consumer affairs top-rated gold IRA dealer. Call 888-617-5927 and add the power of gold to your portfolio. There's always a risk of loss with any investment, but gold is a good bet when the stock market is not doing as well. Okay, with that being said, I want to talk about the fact that the strangeness of how Madison Cawthorn was ousted, and I just wonder if it was associated with the outing of members of Congress. Basically, Congress is a good old boys club, it appears. And once you're in, everyone has a circle of trust where they keep each other's dirty secrets. Madison Cawthorn in that podcast put himself on the outside of that circle of trust when he told the public, hey, this is what's happening, which, you know, everyone, voters hope that their member of Congress is going to be on their side, not on the good old boy club side. But unfortunately, most members of Congress seem to scratch each other's back like that. So shortly after that podcast, Madison Cawthorn gets ousted in the strangest of ways in the primaries in North Carolina last year. Take a look at my podcast on the strange things that happened in that election. Here it is. This is the most Republican area of the country. So who are all these unaffiliated voters, people who didn't want to register Republican, voting all of a sudden for a Republican? That's not Cawthorn. Let's look at the local news.
Unaffiliated voters are now the largest group of voters in North Carolina, and they're showing up in droves ahead of the primary, especially in NC 11, where they make up almost half, 42% of the Republican ballots cast so far.
That is about twice what other districts are. I mean, this is a huge number. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, did Kevin McCarthy's embarrassed that Cawthorn outed his orgies. So what does Kevin McCarthy do? Is he going to hire some mules? Because there's a lot of unaffiliated mail-in ballots that the local news reported came in. Or was it Operation Chaos, you guys? And do you guys all remember Operation Chaos? This is the term Rush Limbaugh came up with for 2008 primaries when Obama was gaining steam. Rush said, hey, Republicans, go vote in these primaries for Hillary Clinton so that you divide the vote and create chaos within the Democrat Party. So Rush Limbaugh sent a bunch of Republicans to vote for Hillary Clinton when Obama had been the chosen one, just to create chaos on the left. Is the left doing an Operation Chaos against the right in North Carolina? That could be the case where not a lot of people vote in the primaries, and if enough people were recruited, hired to create an Operation Chaos, go knock on the door of one of these leftist hippies in Asheville and say, hey, do you want to register unaffiliated and go vote for a random Republican so that we can take down Madison Cawthorn? And I'm sure a leftist hippie would be like, oh, heck yeah, I heard Cawthorn's an insurrectionist. So is that what happened? I'm wondering what the heck happened, but Cawthorn lost by just 1,300 votes at last check. And now we have a random guy, which we're going to hear a soundbite from the new random guy in Congress. So there it was, really strange occurrence. So I don't know. Why was he ousted? Are these top secret orgies not supposed to be revealed? So they had to get rid of him to send a sign to all other members of Congress. Don't you dare out the orgies anymore. Well, turns out who is outing the orgies in North Carolina actually happens to be the husband of one of the participants in the orgies, according to the local news. WSOC reporting that it was the husband of the orgy participant who filed the lawsuit.
Tonight, North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore facing a lawsuit over an affair accusation. The lawsuit refers to a state law that you may never have heard of. Channel 9's government reporter Joe Bruno is live in the studio with more about what's in the lawsuit. Joe?
Well, not many states are like this, but North Carolina is. If your husband or wife cheats on you, you can sue the other person involved. It's called an alienation of affection lawsuit. House Speaker Tim Moore is facing one.
This case in particular is quite fascinating.
David Simmons is a senior attorney with Sodoma Law in Charlotte. His firm isn't involved in House Speaker Tim Moore's case, but he handles alienation of affection cases often. North Carolina is one of 6 states where something like this can be filed.
You would look to prove that you had a marriage with genuine love and affection. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just a marriage with love and affection, that marriage was, the love and affection in that marriage was destroyed, and it was destroyed because of the malicious acts of a third party.
Former Apex Councilman Scott Lassiter is seeking damages from Moore. He claims the Cleveland County representative engaged in a 3-year affair with his wife, saying in the lawsuit she had sex with him, including in groups with others seeking his political favor, and that she feared ending the relationship would mean losing her job. The wife, who is the executive director of the NC Conference of Courts, told WREL the lawsuit is false and the couple had a signed separation document for years. Simmons says a separation document doesn't necessarily change things.
But as far as proving whether or not the acts of the third party have caused that marriage to no longer exist, you're still going to have those questions, even if a separation agreement has been executed.
Speaker Tim Moore told WRAL the lawsuit is baseless and we will vigorously defend this action and pursue all available legal remedies.
Way to bury the lead, local news. I just think they should have they waited till the second half of the report to mention group sex for political favors. I mean, as a voter, I want to know if my elected official is doing group sex for political favors. I think it's the local news's duty to kind of highlight that better. They totally ignored the national news aspect involving Madison Cawthorn. Now, that was WSOC out of Charlotte. And now WRAL, which is the local news in Raleigh, did a little bit better coverage, actually, including the fact that apparently the House Speaker installed surveillance cameras at the home of the husband who filed the lawsuit in order to spy. Am I getting this right? Let me watch this again.
One of the most powerful men in North Carolina politics is accused of destroying a marriage. A 22-page lawsuit filed today by a former Apex Town Council member claims House Speaker Tim Moore had an affair with his wife. WR's Chelsea Donovan is here to walk us through the allegations. Chelsea?
Gerald, Scott Lassiter is seeking $200,000 in damages from Speaker of the House Tim Moore and another unnamed man in the lawsuit. North Carolina is one of the few states that allows jilted spouses to sue someone for interfering in their marriage. And an attorney I spoke to today said these lawsuits are rare as they get expensive and are hard to prove.
Scott Lassiter, a former Apex Town Council member who ran for state office last year, claims House Speaker Tim Moore broke up his 10-year marriage to Jamie Lyles Lassiter. Lindsay Willis, an attorney, explains the fairly rare alienation of affection lawsuit. North Carolina is only one of 6 states to allow it.
It ends up kind of being just a way to take someone down, in essence, who has wronged you in your marriage.
The lawsuit claims many things, including that Jamie Lyles Lassiter went to dinner with defendant Tim Moore at Sullivan Steakhouse in Raleigh. The lawsuit says after dinner, defendant Tim Moore drove Mrs. Lassiter in their car to his residence in Raleigh, where they spent hours together and, upon information and belief, had sexual intercourse. Scott Lassiter says his wife confessed to the affair the day after that dinner and said she didn't want to call the affair off for fear of losing her job and retaliation. 5 days later, Scott Lassiter says he met with Moore at a Biscuitville in Raleigh, where he claims Moore admitted to the affair and asked if there was anything he could do for him, quote, implying that he could use the power he held as speaker in some way to benefit the plaintiff. Scott Lassiter also claims Moore hired a man, a defendant called John Doe in the lawsuit, to install a hidden camera on the Lassiter's property in an effort to blackmail him. These photos show that man allegedly installing a camera at the couple's home. The lawsuit makes a lot of other allegations without providing any proof, including that Jamie Lassiter and Moore had group sex with people seeking political favor.
Right now, we only get to see the plaintiff's side of things. So the defendant will have an opportunity and will file an answer and counterclaim.
Now, while Scott Lasseter claims the couple separated in January, his wife told WRAL that the couple signed a separation agreement years ago. She told WRAL the lawsuit is punitive and suggested that Moore is not to blame for their estrangement. Now, in a statement to WRAL, Moore described the lawsuit as baseless and said he will pursue all available legal remedies.
Well, there must be something to this if they've got the lawsuit has photos, surveillance photos of the man installing separate surveillance equipment. And apparently this man was hired by the House Speaker to spy, to plant cameras to spy on the husband who was accusing his wife of participating in group sex for political favors. I think there's something to this, but that's just my opinion. Anyone can file a lawsuit. So these are all allegations in a lawsuit. But, a lot of people saying Madison Cawthorn was right. When I saw Madison make that vague post on Instagram, I said, let me search why he is trending on Twitter. And we had things like Jack Posobiec, if I'm saying his name right, saying Madison Cawthorn is right, sharing that article and the coverage, saying, wow, the married Republican Speaker of the North Carolina House of Representatives has apparently been having an affair and trading political favors in exchange for group sex. A new highly detailed lawsuit for alienation of affection and civil conspiracy, among other claims. Crazy. And this tweet, meet Tim Moore, the North Carolina GOP House Speaker. He's being accused of engaging in group sex with people seeking political favor. Ladies and gentlemen, we now definitely know why Madison Cawthorn was shunned from the Republican Party. Incredible. And this one, you ever see the Republicans rat F one of their own like they did Madison Cawthorn, with a screenshot of the headline that says lawsuit alleges North Carolina House Speaker had affair sex with people seeking political favor. Incredible. It's just very interesting that a very popular new congressman who had no fear and went after the establishment was ousted like that for saying what nobody else would say, that group sex was going on. So I hope that we can get to the bottom of this and also figure out whether this is happening in the Congress, not just the North Carolina legislature. Is group sex being exchanged for political favors or being used as blackmail, you guys? I have a lot of questions. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and thanks for supporting my YouTube channel.